Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome back to Steelers Almighty, man. Appreciate everybody being in here. We have got a great show for you guys today, man. Got a real good show for you guys today. But appreciate everybody being in here again. Steelers Almighty, the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. Let's get into it. First, DK Metcalf. He's got to get going. Uh, $33 million, just not enough production. We're going to get into that a little bit. Next up, where the hell is Roman Wilson? Like, what is going on? We saw preseason, we heard all off season. Where the hell is he? We'll discuss that a little bit. Then next up, are we the Steelers just going to ride out Jaylen Warren? Is this what we're doing? He was basically the only offense that the Steelers could muster up against the Patriots. Is that what the Steelers are going to rely on this year? And then Nick Herbig has got to get more snaps. You guys are going to be real interested in what I have to say about Nick Herbig, so make sure you stick around for that. So appreciate everybody being in here. As always, people, thank you very much. You can find us on youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere you have your social media, any platforms, you can find us at Steelers Almighty. And if you prefer the audio version of this podcast, please find us anywhere you get your podcast at Steelers Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this thing. So, DK Metcalf, yeah, we got to get more production. I think anybody that has seen the first three games of what DK Metcalf has done, you can't be happy for what he has done. Let's just take a look. First off, the numbers: 10 catches on 17 targets, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's wide receiver two numbers. If we're being honest, that is wide receiver two numbers, and we're not paying him and didn't bring him here to be a wide receiver number two. That's not why we have him here. He had 3 catches last in the last game. Look, for somebody that's making $33 million, people, I'm sorry. And I'm the first person to tell, well, don't pocket watch. Well, it's not necessarily pocket watching when you're just saying, hey, man, you're getting paid a ton. I don't care how much you get paid, but we expect results based on what you're getting paid. So for people out there, myself included, that say, hey, we need more because we're paying you a ton, that's not pocket watching. It's just saying, hey, let's get going. Let's get going. If you were making what Scotty Miller was making, I don't think anybody would care. Matter of fact, we'd be overjoyed because you're exceeding expectations, but he is below expectations right now, and it is time to get going. Look, I mean, again, last game he had 4 targets. That's not enough. Some of it, I mean, I don't know. Look, he's behind Jaylen Warren right now in catches and yards. We'll talk about Jaylen Warren here in a little bit, but your number one receiver shouldn't be trailing your running back in catches and yards. That just shouldn't be the case. Now, some of this is not DK Metcalf's fault, people. First off, the offensive line. And I know some people will say, well, what are you talking about, B? Well, if there's no protection, how are you supposed to drop back and throw the football? That's not DK Metcalf's fault. The line has to be able to give the quarterback time to drop back, get through his reads, and make a throw. Right now, the O-line's not doing that. On the flip side, the O-line also has to be able to run block. And I know some are like, well, what are you talking about, B, with DK? Well, if they can block, remember the Jets game and how wide open play action passing was? And remember then I said that Arthur Smith is using his basically his reputation against the Jets. And the Jets were so gung-ho to stop the run that they were so susceptible to play action pass, and it worked. Well, now teams aren't biting on that. They're sitting back in a too high shell. They don't care about the play action. They're not biting on it because you can't run the football. And if you can't run the football, dig routes underneath it, seam routes, all that stuff is not going to be open because the safeties are going to sit back there because they have absolutely no reason to come down because they don't respect the running game because the O line cannot block for it. And Arthur Smith has to get involved. Arthur Smith has to be a guy that's got to devise ways, not just in the run game, but in the passing game too. I mean, schematics are a big, big part of this. And, you know, get him the ball. It can't just be screens and go ball. That's all we saw from DK in the Patriots game. That can't be the norm. What happened to the quick slants? And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. They ran some of that against the Seattle, and yeah, he dropped the football. So drops have been a big part of this too. He easily could have at least three, probably four more catches if he just doesn't drop the football. So there's that. But Arthur Smith has to be better too. He's got to devise ways to be able to get him the football. And again, it can't just be on a screen, a wide receiver screen, and it can't just be a go ball. You got to be able to get him the ball, shallow crosses, get him the football, and then let him do his thing. You're telling me you get the ball to even in a third and manageable situation, you get the ball to DK Metcalf on a shallow cross where one side clears out, he comes back the opposite side. Come on, man, and let him do his thing. We got to be able to do that. Now, another thing is that DK's also got to get open. Now, we saw some of that against the New England Patriots, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. DK Metcalf's got to get off press coverage. They got physical with him. They bailed him out on one pass interference call that I thought, I'll take it, but that's not pass interference. It was in the third quarter when the Steelers couldn't move the football an inch. But he's also got to get open. Now, again, some of the route tree stuff, I understand that if he's not being asked to run these routes, there's only so much that he can do. But the routes that he is running, he's got to start winning more. He's got to start winning more. Aaron Rodgers got to start throwing him the football and just trusting it. There was a couple of times where DK is even, and even the Patriots went single high safety. I'm like, just give him a chance, man. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball out of bounds. Don't throw the ball out of bounds. And I know that contested balls are not DK Metcalf's forte. The 50-50 stuff, that is not necessarily his forte. But he cut a touchdown pass doing it in that game. So if you're going to give him a chance down in the red zone, give him a chance other places too. Just give him a chance. And if he comes down with it, great. But give him an opportunity. You pay him all this money, you might as well use him. That's my philosophy. More than what we have been using them in the past or in the first three games, because those numbers that I mentioned at the beginning, 10 catches, yeah, that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough. We've seen receivers in this league get his numbers in one football game, and you're telling me over 3 football games, this is what it is. We got to have more. We just got to have more. I know he's a big time red zone target. I get it. We need to continue using him as that. But we got to figure out ways to get him the football and get him the football in space so he can do his thing. We saw him do it. Week 1, he got involved. Now, was that more of the Jets just playing bad defense and allowing it? Or was it more the Steelers saying, you know what, we're just going to force feed him the football and let him do his thing? Either way, he's got to get the ball in his hands, and we got to be able to move forward from there. Got to get him going for this Steelers offense to get going. A lot of moving parts, but he's got to get going. Let's go to the poll question, people. So our main man, DK Metcalf, in the first poll, what is the biggest factor contributing to DK Metcalf's underwhelming performance this season? Is it A, offensive line struggles, B, ineffective offensive scheme, C, lack of chemistry with Rodgers, or D, lack of balancing wide receiver 2? I I'm past the wide receiver 2 thing. I think that is definitely a factor, but I'm past it. I'm past it as far as the Steelers are concerned. We got some other worries out there, but DK's got to get going. Make sure you guys put a 1 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question you guys are answering. Let's move on. I said this when I was introducing this topic. And I'm going to say it again right now. Where the hell is Roman Wilson? We have seen, or we heard all off season about how much better he was, how much better he looked, that he's starting to get it. We saw in the preseason. Now, again, it's preseason football, but the Steelers put him out there when DK wasn't playing. Calvin Austin wasn't playing. He was the number one guy. And look, he looked good against starting NFL corners. Now it was basic defense, everything vanilla, but he looked good. So, and the Steelers gave him an opportunity. So you're thinking we get into the season, you're like, okay, we don't feel as bad. 3 games in, Roman Wilson has played, well, first off, yeah, 10 snaps week 1, 21 week 2, and 9 week 3. That's what we've seen. He's got 1 catch, 2 targets, 7 yards. That to me is not the look of a guy that gets it or a guy that is getting it. Even his blocking, which that was supposed to be one of his claim to fame coming out of Michigan, his blocking has taken a tumble. Now, that's probably a confidence or a demeanor type of thing, because now it's like, look, I'm barely getting any snaps and all they bring me out here to do is block. But you're out there, you got to do something. But I think this is a clear sign, at least early on. Now, everything may change down the road, but at least early on, the Steelers don't trust him. I mean, I don't know anything else to say, but the Steelers just do not trust Roman Wilson at this time. Maybe they'll gain some trust. I don't know, but he's basically on the same playing field as Scotty Miller and Ben Skoranek. And Skoranek has caught a touchdown pass. So he is basically there. Now, I don't know. Like I said, the preseason is just preseason, but he looked good. I mean, we all watched it. He looked good. And he seemed to have that turnaround. Remember early in camp when Aaron Rodgers said he just got to get out of his own head, man. He's got to stop looking for my approval and go play football. From that day on, Roman Wilson looked like a totally different person. Is Aaron Rodgers going to have to do that again? My whole thing is Aaron Rodgers don't have time for that. It's time to play football. We're in the season. If you can't get, as what Mike Thomas says, either you get on the train or the train keeps moving. At some point, Roman Wilson has to get this thing, man. This is frustrating. Again, he's a 3rd-round pick that the Pittsburgh Steelers were counting on. And right now, they cannot count on him. Now, I get it. It's difficult when he's basically the 6th option, because you got DK Metcalf, Jaylen Warren, Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth. I mean, Calvin Austin III. Hell, maybe he's not even the 6th. Maybe he's the 7th. Even if you throw in Darnell Washington, has more targets than he does. So then, again, you're on the same playing field as Skoranek and Scotty Miller. That is not what the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted out of this 3rd-round pick last year. And I could assure you that's not what he wanted, but they don't trust him. They don't trust him. And also another thing, I know, well, you don't know if they don't trust him or not, B. Hey, man, here's the thing. We are still hearing rumors about the Pittsburgh Steelers trying to go out and get another wide receiver. We're 3 games in, and we're still hearing it. Now, granted, I think that would be one of the most insane moves to bring in another wide receiver if you're not trying to fix your offensive line first. I think the problems on offense are 1, 2, 3. One, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about that. That if you said name 3 problems on the Steelers offense, every one of them are the offensive line. But there's still rumors out there. And I know, well, rumors don't mean anything. And you're right. For the most part, they don't. But you know what rumors do mean? From Steeler insiders, that means they're getting this information. Now, it may not come to fruition, but they are getting the information and are hearing the talks, hearing what the Steelers want, getting information to leak out there. and see if there's bites from other places. So, yeah, the Steelers are looking. And that can't be a good sign for Roman Wilson, man. It just can't. Um, is there a pathway to the field? I don't know. That's my whole thing. I don't really know if there's a pathway back to the field. I mean, obviously, the first part is you got to show something in practice, but you've got to earn Aaron Rodgers' trust. You got to earn Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin's trust. And I guess the start of doing that is in practice. But then again, you got to get in the game and then you got to go get open. And the one thing that you haven't heard a bunch of people, now granted, he hadn't played a bunch of snaps, but you haven't heard, man, Roman Wilson was wide open. Man, Roman Wilson was running free. I can't believe he didn't throw it to him. You haven't heard a whole lot of that. Now, again, I know he hadn't played a ton of snaps, but he's been out there, just not open. And that was kind of the problem before. He just can't get open. I hope it changes. I really do. I hope this turns around, and I hope it turns around pretty quickly because even though he's down on the depth chart, even though he is down the totem pole when it comes to who you want to have touches and some of your offensive weapons, he's down on the totem pole. If he can get it figured out, that only helps the Steelers. Clearly be good for him and his psyche, but it will help the Steelers having another viable weapon out there. But as of right now, man, like I said, 10 snaps week 1. And then I thought he had 21 snaps against Seattle. I thought, okay, this is the time. They're going to start involving him more. Then it was back to 9 against the Patriots. And I'm like, no, it's not going to involve him anymore. So I don't know, people. It's not looking good. Man, it appears the Steelers understand what they have. And it appears, as of now, that the Steelers have just moved on. And which is sad. A third round pick from a year ago, and this is all you get. Things can change. Things obviously can change. But as of now, you look at the situation. If you were to look at it from the outside looking in, you would say, man, that Roman Wilson, yeah, he's way down in the depth chart. And that's what it appears to be, people. Let's go to the poll question. It's just sad what it really is. What should the Steelers do with Roman Wilson moving forward? A, give him more opportunities. B, trade him for another player. C, release him and find someone else. Or D, move him to a practice squad. That's tough, too. The last two are extremely tough, especially on a third round pick. That would be tough. Doesn't mean it shouldn't happen or couldn't happen, but that would be the ultimate miss that the Steelers just whiffed on a guy and they know it early and they're ready to get out of it. But if you got to do what you got to do, man, make sure you put a 2 in front of your answer, so you know exactly what poll question you are answering. We are at the halftime, ladies and gentlemen. And first things first, I want to thank and every person that has ever watched Steelers Almighty, ever hit a like, hit or made a comment, subscribed, became a member. I want to thank each and every one of you, man. We just hit a milestone that I thought was going to take us 3 or 4 years to hit. We just went over our 10,000 subscribers. Man, that's a good feeling. That is a good feeling. We really do appreciate all of y'all's efforts. We also happen to be over 100 members as well, which means a ton to me and my producer, who is my partner on this thing, man. We cannot thank you guys enough for the support that you guys have given us. It's been overwhelming to say the least, but we absolutely appreciate it. Main thing about that, man, we got to these 2 milestones. I promised you all on the big show what we were going to do. Remember on Sunday, and the game's early. It's 9 Eastern, 8 Central, so the game is early on Sunday morning, or 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Make sure that you guys show up. We are opening up our watch party for the game. It's usually dedicated to Hall of Fame members only, and it'll go back to that the following week. But because we hit these two milestones, we are opening up our watch party for the game in Dublin against the Minnesota Vikings. So make sure you guys there get your coffee, get your breakfast, and let's get after it. As many people show up as possible so we can have a real good time watching the game, commenting on the game, being high, low, mad, sad, all that good stuff. Man, I appreciate you guys. Let's get after it. Let's get back to it. So, do the Steelers just ride out Jaylen Warren? Like, is he just going to be the workhorse of the football team? Now, first off, Jaylen Warren, there was so many of us, myself included, you go into the season and we're like, yeah, this guy's not going to be. He hasn't proven that he can be a number one running back. And we've seen in games when he got above 15 touches in a game, he started to wear down. He would fumble the football. He got nicked up. So it looked like, man, this is, I don't know. They got rid of Najee, which nobody, well, most people, and I would say about 95% of people were okay with getting rid of Najee. Having said all of that, we weren't sure that Jaylen Warren was going to be able to be the guy. Well, we thought Caleb Johnson was going to be able to step in, him and Gainwell. Well, Caleb Johnson can't get out of the dog. He's in the doghouse. When he's getting out, who knows? Literally, who knows? He hadn't gotten much carries to begin the season anyway before he even went in the doghouse, and now he's in there. So who the hell knows when that's going to happen? Kenneth Gainwell has played okay in spurts, but Gainwell is what he is. He's a backup, and he's going to give us a backup ability, which is okay. But Jaylen Warren, he surprised me. Now, here's the thing. His usage rate right now is 51% or 52% through 3 games. In my personal opinion, I think that number has to go down. I don't think Jaylen Warren's usage rate can stay. I don't think that's sustainable for him to be as effective as he can be throughout the season. A perfect example. Look what happened against the Patriots. And I know you're thinking, well, what are you talking about, Big B? He was great down the stretch at final drive. You're 100% right. He was phenomenal. But why? Why was he great? He had a total of 23 touches in that football game. 5 of them were on the final drive. So he was rested going into the drive. Now, the reason he was rested is because the Steelers could not move the football after the first 2 drives. But the fact still remains is that he was fresh. Well, the way somebody or your running back stays fresh is that he doesn't have as many touches. He didn't going into the final drive. And then Steelers just rode him into the ground, which they needed to do to win the football game. And let's not kid ourselves. Even before that, even on those first 2 drives where the Steelers were moving the football, if you haven't seen the all 22, make sure you check it out. Jaylen Warren's doing yeoman's work. Dodging blockers in the hole. He's doing yeoman's work. Finding places to run, catching the ball out of the backfield. So the Steelers are riding Jaylen Warren. And be honest with you, without him, we don't have 2 wins. I know Aaron Rodgers got a lot of the flash, and he should have the first week. But Jaylen Warren did his thing too. And he did his thing against Seattle, had that catch and long, crazy run. And he did his thing against the Patriots. Now, that's part of the offense. I get it. And again, it goes back to Arthur Smith. Got to design ways to get more people involved. But you also have to define ways or come up with ways to get Jaylen Warren. If you're going to ride Jaylen Warren out, then let's do it. I think his usage rate has to go down if we're going to be as effective as possible. But it's a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, you don't have him out there all the time. What's the offense doing? It's not moving as effectively, or you wear him out. At this point, for me, although I want his usage rates to go down, I think you got to wear him out until we can get everything going on the right track. And maybe it takes 3 or 4 games. Maybe after the bye week, the offense will start to get going a little bit better. Okay, great. But until that point, you got to use the weapons that you got. And I fully understand that us wearing him out means at the end of the year, he's not going to be as effective. But if you can't get to a good place by the end of the year. And obviously, we're wanting to try to win a division. We're wanting to win playoff games. You got to get there first. And if you can't get there, then what difference does it make? Or you're holding guys back and you're not getting everything out of them and you're still trying to get there. That doesn't make sense. So, yes, there's a lot of us. Jaylen Warren's not built to be a number one running back, but he's proving it right now. That's the whole thing. I'm not saying you're wrong because I actually feel the same way. I've said it. But he's proving right now that he can be. So let's give him that opportunity. Let's give him every opportunity. As long as he doesn't put that ball on the ground, as long as he doesn't do that, I'm okay with it. But the moment he puts that ball on the ground where he starts getting 22 carries and on the 23rd carry, he puts that ball on the ground, then we're going to have a problem. That's when I'm going to have a problem because y'all know how I feel about fumbling my football. That's why I don't even care about Caleb Johnson being in the doghouse. Don't care. You make those kind of mistakes, I have no patience for. So don't fumble my football. And mental mistakes can happen. So I like what Jaylen Warren's doing. He's been effective. He is, I mean, the last two games, without him, the Steelers have no offense. That's the thing. The Steelers literally have no offense. Especially the Patriots game. Lord have mercy. Without him, what do we do? So that's my thing. I'm sticking to it. Like I said, he leads the team in catches and in yards for receiving, which is crazy. And clearly he leads us in rushing too. He's doing it all for the Steelers right now. He's doing it all. He needs some help though. He needs some help. But if we gotta use him like the workhorse until we can get going. That's just what we're gonna have to do because we gotta have some offense. We gotta be able to move the football, ladies and gentlemen. So it is what it is. Let's go to the poll. I like Jaylen Warren. I just hope we don't just wear him out, though. That's my thing. Poll 3. Is Jaylen Warren currently the best offensive weapon for the Steelers? A, yes, he's the most explosive player on offense. B, maybe if he gets enough touches. C, yes, only because of Smith's offensive reins. And D, no, he's a mid-tier running back at best. I think he's above that. I think he was above that last year as far as running backs, above a mid-tier. But that's just me talking. That's just me out there talking. Let's move on. So Nick Herbig, the big Nick Herbig debate. What do you do? Steelers pass rushers, you got TJ Watt, you got Alex Highsmith when he's healthy, and you have Nick Herbig. Now, first off, let's start off. Nick Herbig has had some injury issues of his own. So let's not discount that. But my main issue is I think Nick Herbig's got to get more snaps. And even when Alex Highsmith comes back, I think Nick Herbig needs more snaps. Because, look, you can't count on Highsmith. Highsmith is always hurt. We don't blame him for being hurt. We don't. But it's a fact. He gets hurt. And I think they got to come back. If you want to try to keep him healthy, maybe you start splitting the reps between Herbig and Highsmith. Because although Herbig comes in and he's a sub, they're not splitting reps. And I think they've got to split reps. Hell, Herbig might actually out-rep him because when TJ Watt goes out of the game, you can move Herbig over there. I understand we have Jack Sawyer. I get it. But I think Herbig just needs more opportunities because the guy has proven to be a game wrecker or at least a playmaker. Maybe not a game wrecker just yet, but a playmaker. He makes plays. He's exciting. He causes the pocket to collapse. There was 2 times he did that against the Patriots where he didn't get a sack, but because of his pressure, somebody else got a sack. Not to mention his own. So, strip sack. I just think he needs more opportunities. Like I said, I think it needs to be 50-50 between him and Highsmith. He's always making plays. He has to be accounted for. Now, the big thing about him, first off, he's got 9.5 sacks throughout his career. And that's in pretty limited opportunities. So I like his development. And speaking of his development, the run defense. Now, I'm a big person that said Herbig's run defense has been bad, and it's been bad. But this season, his run defense has been better. Now, I'm not saying that it's great. I'm never going to tell you that his run defense is great when it's not happening. So I don't want to try to mislead you. It's not great, but it's been above average. That's what it's been. It's been above average this season. Now, it's got to keep going up. It's got to keep getting better. You know, it can't just settle for being above average. It needs to get to where it can be great. But it's definitely better and it's noticeable. That's the key. It's one thing to, they're running plays away from you and all this stuff, and you're not really getting a negative grade on the run play. It's noticeable that he's better against the run this season. Is he perfect? No. Nobody's saying that he's perfect, but he is better. And it's just got to continue to flourish and be better because he used to be a liability against the run. He is no longer a liability against the run. He is capable of making good plays. Now, he's got to stay healthy. I mentioned that at the top of this segment. He's got to stay healthy. He's had his issues before. Those soft tissue injuries. We just can't have it. Can't have it. Again, nobody blames him for being injured, but you got to be healthy. You know, if you're out, you already know Highsmith misses a ton of games. Well, then that's when the Steelers are really behind the eight ball. And that's not a slight to Jack Sawyer. We're just being honest about what Jack Sawyer currently is. Jack Sawyer's outstanding against the run. Not good. He's outstanding against it. But he's is equally good against the run. That's how bad right now he is against the pass. He can't turn that corner yet. Can't turn the corner, doesn't have counter moves. His athleticism is stopping him in the passing game as of now. But can it get better? Yes. Same way Herbig got better against the run. But I like Herbig. Now the thing is, what do you do with Alex Highsmith? Well, Big B, you're talking about all this playing time. What do you do with Alex Highsmith? Well, I think you trade him. Now, do you trade him this year? Possibly. I think when it gets closer to the trade deadline, you take a look at what the Steelers currently, where they are, what they have to do to make the playoffs. And if they're in it, then you keep them. You don't trade Highsmith then. If they're not, and the Steelers have won 3 games, yeah, you trade Alex Highsmith because a contending team is going to want an extra pass rusher, especially somebody as good as Alex Highsmith. You should do that. Absolutely. And then you move on because look, the salary cap hit for Alex Highsmith next year, I want to say, you save $14.5 million in cap space. Yeah, you take a $5.4 million hit in dead cap money, but you save $14.5 million next year. You do it. It's just that simple. You do it. Now, if they're in the running, then no, you don't. If they're right there, which probably more than likely the Steelers are going to be right there, which means they're not going to trade him. But if you're not, for whatever reason, then yes, it's time to unload him because then you can see everything you need to see from our main man, Herbig. And here's the thing. Herbig's going to be coming up on a contract. If he plays well this year, do you re-up him at the end of the season? That's something you have to think about because he's going to be going into the last year of his contract next year. I don't think that there's any way that you can let Mr. Nick Herbig go. I don't think there's any way that you let him go. Now, could you? Sure. And when I talk about let him go through free agency, I don't think there's any way the Steelers can do that. I think that would be a colossal mistake. But you can't pay 3 edges big money. You're already paying TJ Watt. You're paying Alex Highsmith after this season. If you keep Nick Herbig, again, if he continues to get better and play the way that you expect him to play. Now, if he falls in the tank and he has 3 sacks this year and his run defense falls off a cliff, that's a different conversation. I just don't anticipate any of that happening. And like I said, you can't pay 3 edges. You can pay 2, which the Steelers are already doing, but you can't pay 3. And one of them you're paying enormous money to. So somebody would have to be moved. The logical choice is Highsmith. And the reason being is because I think Nick Herbig is an up and coming football player. I really like him. He's, like I said, he got better against the run, which was all my skepticism, is that he wasn't good against the run. And he wasn't. He's been better this year. Got to keep growing on it. Got to keep building on it. Let's go to the poll. Our main man, Nick Herbig, said, how should the Steelers manage defensive snap counts when Alex Highsmith returns from energy? A, maintain a 50-50 split between Highsmith and Herbig. B, lean more on Nick Herbig to reduce Highsmith's workload. Maybe that'll keep him from getting injured. C, honor the can't lose your job to injury for Highsmith. It's one thing when you get hurt once, but when you're always hurt and somebody's playing equal to you, we'll see. And then D, find a trade partner for Highsmith for draft capital. So we'll see, man. That's a good question. All good answers. Not sure there's a wrong one in it. Matter of fact, I'm positive there's not. Make sure you put a 4 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question you're answering. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, the Steelers are 2-1. They sit atop the AFC North, and I think I'm pretty confident, other than the offense playing good week 1, although the line didn't, the Steelers have not played a good football game all year long. That hasn't happened. And you could even go back. When's the last time the Steelers played a complete football game? I don't know. It's been a minute. Maybe last year against the Jets. Maybe that was a complete football game. Having said all of that, the Steelers got to get this thing together. This is going to be a tough matchup against Minnesota. Minnesota's defense and what they bring to the table, it's going to be tough. Even with walk it to them Wentz as their quarterback, they're going to be a tough out because they have either one or two best wide receivers in the National Football League. Jordan Addison is an awesome compliment, and they can run the football. Even though their offensive line isn't great, they're still able to run the football. So we got our hands full, and then their defense is one of the best, and very opportunistic. So we got to bring it. I think there's an opportunity here. The Steelers just have to continue to get better, and they just got to be physical. They got to be a more physical football team. I never thought I'd say that. I never thought that there would be a time where I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers have to become a physical football team, but that's where we are. The bright side of that is we're 2-1, and we still have the opportunity to go be a physical football team. So I'm looking forward to it. Season is not over as much as some people want to say. We're right in the thick of this thing, man. We're right in the thick of it. So appreciate everybody, man. That's all I got for you today. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, watch party on Sunday. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're there loud and proud. We're going to get us a win on Sunday, man, against Minnesota in Dublin. So thank you guys as always. And until next time, aloha.